Well, our form here at Lokomotive Leipzig since coming back from the winter break has been dismal, at least it was going into the end of yesterday's episode. Off the back of that, we had quite a nice run in terms of fixtures we should be picking up points from. We only got a draw out of those next two games, 1 point from them. So we've changed our tactical style again. Hello everyone and welcome to episode 48 of the Leipzig Loko with Lokomotive Leipzig here on Sean Does FM. I hope you are doing well, and coming up today we take on Darmstadt and Holstein Kiel and hopefully can close the gap on the teams inside the top three now. We are 8 points behind, certainly need to really hit form in the remainder of the season if we are going to try and get a chance to go up to the Bundesliga for next season, and we are doing so with a new tactical style here. So if you're looking forward to that coming up in today's episode, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying the series here on the channel, also consider hitting that subscribe button and turning that notification bell on as well. It is greatly appreciated. But yesterday we took on both Dynamo Dresden and Hamburg either side of January transfer deadline day. If you missed the episode, I'll leave a link to it over in the top right corner. Unfortunately lost both of those games, and it did mean we did fall behind those teams at that stage who were inside the top three, and unfortunately, with what looked like what was coming up, a quite nice patch of fixtures, it continued in the next two games at least, before we did make a change. First up, 0-0 draw against Eintracht Braunschweig at home. Those guys are well down the table. That was a disappointing result, and to be fair, a disappointing performance. A game where very little of note did happen, only one shot on target for us. Our XG only slightly higher than the opposition, but thankfully it was not a loss. But then a 1-0 loss away at Grifferfurth, that was the catalyst for us to make a change here at Lokomotive Leipzig. Actually a game we didn't play that badly in, but unfortunately suffered a 1-0 defeat. That offside goal was as clear as day onside. Not too sure how that one did get ruled out, so I was a bit fuming about that, but still we dropped some points away from home against the team in the bottom half of the table at that stage. So it did feel like, off the back of the winter break, our form with that 4-2-3-1 fluid counter-attacking style just has not been good enough. So I've gone to a style which would hopefully match what the ball want from us in terms of our objectives, and that is to play possession football, high tempo pressing, and also try and be defensively solid. That has not been the case off the back of the winter break. So we did load up a few other tactical styles here at Lokomotive Leipzig, and the first one that we did try out was a gegenpress. In fact, we tried it out during the second half of that game against Grifferfurth. It definitely helped. Not too much in terms of a change in terms of the player roles, just our right back now is on attack as a wing back, the sweeper keeper, the goalkeeper also on attack. Both our wingers are now inside forwards. Krasnicki outright is on support, and also Atilgan is on attack. So something different is happening on each side of the field. Our attacking midfielder is now an attacking midfielder on attack in Cueto instead of an Ongonch, and also Clige, who to be fair was still performing pretty well on an advanced forward, is now going to be playing as a pressing forward. The only change we've actually made from what the box tactic is that the game suggests is Kachala is a deep lying playmaker on support instead of a roaming playmaker, seeing as that does not suit him at all, as you can see there by that star rating. You can see there in terms of analysis, or at least it was when I first loaded up the tactic, but when we did do that, there was a big red warning sign, so that's why we did put him on a deep lying playmaker, just to make sure he was a bit more comfortable in that role. But apart from that, it is what you get loaded up in the game as a gegenpress, and thankfully our performances since then have been very good, both in terms of results somewhat, as well as on the pitch. 3-0 win against 1860 Munich, albeit those guys right near the bottom of the table, but Cueto with an early goal, and then Clige with a few more in the first half. As you can see, stats-wise, very dominant performance and very defensively solid, and off the back of that, we got well and truly FM'd here at Paderborn, completely outplayed them, but somehow a 1-1 draw. They grabbed an equaliser with only 5 minutes left. To be fair, the goalkeeper had an absolute blinder. A 7.5 for him is incredibly low with some of the saves that he did pull off. Should have been a game that we won comfortably, but the goalkeeper made sure that they hung around, and in the end, they did pinch a goal with their only shot on target. So while that result was a bit disappointing, the performance was certainly very encouraging in both games so far. We have used the gegenpress, and it has meant that that gap to the teams in the promotion zone is only 8 points, but now really need to pick up points from most of our remaining games this season if we are to try and get a chance to go up to the Bundesliga for next season. So we are going to be using the Gegenpress in today's episode and probably for the remainder of the season. It does seem like an FM this year, at least in Germany, once you hit that winter break, might be a good time to change your tactical style. Otherwise, at least here at Lokomotive Leipzig, our form does tend to drop off in the second part of the season. And hopefully today we can continue those good performances that we have put out in those last two games with that Gegenpress. First off, we take on a Darmstadt team currently in 7th, not too far behind us in terms of points on the table these days, only 3 points, but this one is at home, and we are looking for a bit of revenge on these guys. A bit of a funny game earlier in the season. We did suffer a surprising 3-0 defeat away from home, so hopefully with that new tactical style we can cause a bit of a surprise on these guys like they did to us earlier this season, albeit they come into this one off the back of wins against St. Pauli and Augsburg. So certainly won't be rollovers for us in this first game of today's episode. Off the back of that, we take on a team also just behind us on the points table in Holstein Kiel. These guys come into this one in a quite good patch of form, no losses in amongst their last 5 games, including wins over Erzgebirge and St. Pauli. So 2 interesting games coming up in today's episode. If we don't pick up maximum points from these, it will make our task of trying to get promoted up to the Bundesliga this season very, very difficult indeed, with only 9 games left in the season off the back of today's episode. But hopefully our form in those last couple of games can continue. We can pick up 2 wins and hopefully close the gap on teams like Arminia Bielefeld and Hannover Hamburg. A little bit of a gap on those guys. Not too sure if we can catch those guys up on top of the table, but hopefully we can jump above one of those other guys as well as Dynamo Dresden. That goal differential could be an issue, and try and make our way into that top 3 after what was a very good first half of the season. But unfortunately, since the winter break, we have bottled things a little bit. But hopefully, now that we've gone to the Gegenpress, that will fix things. Yuri Bass is also out for today's episode with a sports hernia, so he's out for a while. It does mean that Francis Gaima steps up to the first team as the backup left back for the first game of today's episode, albeit probably for both games, because Bass will be missing 4 of those, but that's our only injury concern, and we'll come back shortly and hopefully continue this good little run of form that we have started to build up here with the Gegenpress as we host Darmstadt in the 2 Bundesliga. And here are the team sheets for the first game of today's episode. We are at home. In terms of our starting 11, it is full strength for this one, just that one change on the bench. Gaima comes in for the injured Bass at left back, but we are at full strength apart from that. And there are Darmstadt. They are going with a 4-3-3, but hopefully another good performance off the back of those last 2. We can try and close the gap on those teams inside the top 3. And just past the 10-minute mark, we get the first highlight in this game. So far, it's been an encouraging start. All the stats are in our favour, but no highlights so far. Hopefully this one is going to be. We play that one back to Krapakas these days. He does venture outside his box quite frequently, being a sweeper keeper on attack. But at the moment, we take our time here to play out with this Gegenpress style. But surely we're going to up the tempo shortly on a very high tempo these days. Krasnicki, nice ball through there, picks out Cliche. Really nice touch. And bangs that one top left corner. It's a dream start here. Exactly what we need. We go 1-0 up nice and early, unlike that previous game against Paderborn, where the goalkeeper, as I said, had an absolute blinder on hoof. But thankfully, good start in this one. Krasnicki ball forward. Cliche just tees that one up and thumps it top left corner. And he grabs his 18th goal of the season to give us an early 1-0 lead. And only 5 minutes off back of that opening highlight now is a free kick here in favour of Darmstadt. Hopefully we don't concede straight away, but they do get in behind there and put that one away in the left corner. We'll just wait here though for a VAR check. Did look like the striker there might have delayed his run just a little bit to try and get back onside, and indeed that was the case. So thankfully that long ball over the top does not prove costly. Our defence there did step up just in time. That is something we are now doing with this Gegenpress style, and thankfully it comes off there and we hold on to our 1-0 lead. And shortly off the back of that, we are now down the other end here. Krasnicki back on the ball. Kachala back there for Bullock, who unfortunately already has picked up a yellow card. So Leon Heinke will probably be coming on for him at halftime. But nice ball over the top there for Daniel Cueto. He'll tuck that one away on an attacking midfielder on attack. He has certainly increased his goal scoring output in these last couple of games, and it's a very good start off the back of a bit of a scare with that offside highlight before we make it 2-0 Bullock. Nice ball over the top there, Cueto. Well-timed run, puts that away bottom right corner, and we take a pretty early 2-0 lead here at home. And that was it for the first half in the first game of today's episode, and thankfully we go into the sheds with a fairly comfortable 2-0 lead here. As you can see, stats-wise, well and truly on top of them, Darmstadt yet to have a shot on target, and only one in the game. The only real threat that they have posed us was that goal they scored from offside. Obviously ruled out. Everyone's playing decently, but as I said earlier, Racine Bullock did pick up a yellow card, so Leon Heinke will count on for him. But apart from that, very happy with how this one's going, and hopefully we're going to close the gap on those top three. We'll get the second half underway with that 2-0 lead. And it's taken a little while in the second half to get the first highlight, but it is a free kick here in favour of Darmstadt. They do get a few headers off there, but now a really good chance for us to do something on the counter-attack. Still well and truly on top in this game. They still have only had one shot prior to that free kick. We are bossing them, and hopefully can put this game to bed shortly. We find Cueto there inside the box. Now Kachala, Dorenzo will try and put that into the mixer. They head that one clear, albeit we absolutely sandwich that guy and obviously get the ball back, but poor pass there from Atilgan, albeit we'll win the ball back just inside of our half still. Now Heinke with the only substitution we did make at half time, and we now look to build out from the back just a little bit, but certainly playing very well with this gegenpress style. Now Cueto inside the box. It's a tight angle, but he beats the goalkeeper. His 9th goal of the season. As I said, that certainly increased since we did change our tactical style and put him on a more attacking duty. The goals are coming thick and fast, and thankfully that will put this game to bed so far. A very comfortable performance, and with 25 minutes left, we are 3-0 up and off the back of that goal. It might be a good time for us here to just check on some player fitness. Obviously, that will be important with a gegenpress style a bit more intense than what we were previously using. Gala's down to a red heart, so Lucas Locke can come on for him. And also, we'll bring on for Kachala, Murati, and for Dorenzo Gaima. Both those players are a bit more injury prone than the rest in the team, so we'll also take them off alongside the red-hearted player off the back of us taking a 3-0 lead. And just making our way inside the last 20 minutes of this game, there is a throw-in here to Darmstadt, but we win that one nice and early. Ball played forward for some reason. Our player doesn't go for that one. Pretty sure he wasn't offside because our striker was still in front of him, but nevertheless, the highlight is going to continue in Darmstadt on the ball. Deer was on it there. Krasnicki did win it back from him, but unfortunately falls quite kindly there to a Darmstadt player, and Matanovic is able to get on the end of that one, but poor defensively there from our centre-backs. Couldn't stop that ball from coming into the mixer, and unfortunately, this tackle there from Krasnicki just fell a bit too kindly for Darmstadt, but unfortunately, albeit it will hopefully only be a consolation goal, but they do us on the counter-attack and make it 3-1 with around about 15 minutes left, and off the back of that, we'll check on some player fitness, and indeed, quite a few here are down to red hearts. We're going to make our last substitution, take off Haxa at right back for Ernesto, but hopefully we can still hold on to this 3-1 lead. And we're just entering injury time in this game. Thankfully, Darmstadt haven't done too much off the back of that goal that they did grab about 15 minutes ago. A pretty dominant performance, as has been the case in all our games since we have gone to a gegenpress. A goal to Clige nice and early, and off the back of that, either side of half-time, it was Daniel Cueto who gave us a 3-0 lead. They grabbed one back late, but thankfully that didn't cause any harm at all, albeit might have been quite good for our goal differential, seeing as we are behind Dynamo Dresden on that. That could be quite important if we both end up level on points come the end of the season and do close that gap on the top 3 teams. But thankfully, our form is improving off the back of making that change to a gegenpress, and we pick up a 3-1 win over Darmstadt in our first game of today's episode. And we do have something to come back for in between games in today's episode, both a transfer bit as well, of course, as our youth intake. Somehow I forgot to preview that earlier in today's episode, but we have actually stayed in 4th off the back of that win. In that first game today, Dynamo Dresden suffered a loss and Holstein Kiel have jumped above them, so that second game today could be quite important. Hopefully, we can continue to stay in 4th, albeit unfortunately still 8 points behind both Hanover and Arminia Bielefeld with only 8 games left in these seasons. So time's running out for us to try and get up to the Bundesliga, or at least get a playoff to try and get up to the Bundesliga for next season. But we're going to come back. First up, that transfer bid, we did turn it down because it does come quite late in our season. But Daniel Cueto, St. Gallen have put a bid in for him from Switzerland for £1.4 million. Now, to be fair, I probably in a transfer window would have accepted that, especially because having a look at his contract details, Bundesliga clubs can sign him for £675,000. That's something we might need to sort out. So 1.4 million is certainly a good price for Daniel Cueto, but this late in the season, it has been quite difficult to try and find someone on a free transfer. Sung Bin Kim, not quite as good in that attacking midfielder on attack role, so I did feel like for the last few games of the season, if we can find a way to try and get promoted to the Bundesliga, turning down that transfer offer might be a good idea. But if teams come back in for him in the transfer window at the end of the season, 1.4 million might be too good to turn down. And of course, if a Bundesliga club comes in for him, I might regret that decision, seeing as that fee will be a lot lower. But of course, also coming back for this season's youth intake, it is a decent one. Quite a few players who are top talents here at Lokomotive Leipzig. There's actually quite a few. The main one we're probably going to look at here is Tonda, I believe is how you might pronounce that name. He is a striker, only 1-star current ability, but 4.5-star potential, decent finishing, heading, and very good determination. So at 15 years old, he has some time to hopefully work his way into the first team in a couple of years here at Lokomotive Leipzig. Certainly the most promising of the players that we have got for our youth intake this season. Also a few players around that 3.5, 4-star potential. We have a goalkeeper here and Felix Danneberg. We'll make our way down this list rather quickly. Nicholas Conradi is a left-back, 1-star current ability, 4-star potential, albeit might be a bit more natural as a centre-back, and especially at 1.87 metres tall. Below the striker, we've got Martin Toff, who is a central midfielder, can also play striker and centre-back, so an interesting player there at 1.82 metres tall. Could be a centre-back, might actually end up training him as a striker, because of course we don't use a normal central midfielder, just defensive midfielders and attacking midfielders here at Lokomotive Leipzig, but he's someone we'll probably sign. Also Jens Bordas, a right winger, 1-star current ability, 3.5-star potential. Also through this year's youth intake, players that will probably sign: Nicholas Fischer, he is a right winger, albeit looks a bit more natural as a left winger with that 3.5-star potential. Going down a bit further, only two more: Leonhard Dormer, 1-star current ability, 3.5-star potential, yet another right winger. And the last player we're probably going to sign is Johan Birnbaum. He is a central midfielder, could go either way, defensively or attacking, but 1-star current ability and 3.5 stars potential. To be fair, quite a few players from this year's youth intake who we will sign, but the star of that lot does look like it is Tonda up front potentially for us in the future here at Lokomotive Leipzig, but we'll come back shortly and we'll take on Holstein Kiel and hopefully stay in fourth spot and close that gap on those teams inside the top three. And here are the team sheets for the second game of today's episode. It is an away trip, and Holstein Kiel are going with the same formation as us, a 4-2-3-1. In terms of us, obviously, really good performance before, so no changes to the starting lineup. On the bench, though, Gaima is away on international duty, so it does mean we had to call up another youngster from our second team, and Eisenmenger, not quite as good as Gaima, but hopefully will do a decent job if we need him, and hopefully we can continue our good run of form, and as I said, close the gap on those teams in the promotion spots. And just past the 10-minute mark, the first highlight in this game is in favour of Holstein Kiel so far. Unlike the first game, they have been on top of us, but there's an interesting punch there from Krapakas. Thankfully, they get a shot off. It is blocked, but that was a little bit of a dangerous opening highlight. We were on the back foot, but thankfully, it's still 0-0. And up to the 20-minute mark, and we do have a free kick here, so hopefully can finally get on the front foot in this game. Fair to say Holstein Kiel are dealing with our GEGENPRESS at the moment. That's the first time that's happened since we have gone to this tactical style, but Krapakas there finds Bullock, and hopefully now a chance for us to settle things down in the midfield and get on the front foot, try and play a ball over there for a Tilgan, but it's headed back, and Baru in goal is able to settle things down this time for Holstein Kiel. They'll pump this one deep. Huxa does win that one in the air, but unfortunately Mendel will win that one. Now Pickler on the ball, but thankfully a loose touch, and Huxa is able to get on the end of that one, and now a bit of aerial ping pong, and the ball does fall to Holstein Kiel. Already just feels like some of these 50-50s falling the way of Holstein Kiel a bit more than they have so far since the tactical switch. It was a poor touch there from Daniel Cueto, and Philip Hoffman gets us from that a nice through ball when they did have an overlap, and we go 1-0 down after 20 minutes. And to be fair, can't argue about that. Not too sure how Cueto's touched that and put it behind him, but that was the case. And from there, easy pass there from Pickler to Hoffman, and Holstein Kiel go 1-0 up. And only a couple of minutes off the back of that first goal to Holstein Kiel, yet again they might be on the attack here, so some concerning signs early in this one. It's our worst performance early since we have gone to the gegenpress. They try and float one into the mixer there. Thankfully we deal with the danger, but poor header away there from Krasnicki, and now Pickler picks out Hoffman. Yet again it's so poor defensively. All of a sudden we're making some poor passes in this one away from home. I do feel like he was onside. He will grab a quick fire double, and yes he will. 2-0 behind after only 25 minutes. Thankfully still some time for us here to try and claw this one back, but it was a really poor header there from Krasnicki, and defensively we are poor yet again. Hoffman grabs a double and makes it 2-0 Holstein Kiel. And that was it for the first half of our second game of today's episode. And away from home, we are really struggling on this one. Holstein Kiel, with that quick fire double around the 20-minute mark, are going to take a 2-0 lead into the sheds. We've got a bit more going late in that first half, but really haven't done as much as we have in previous games. With this gegenpress, quite a few players out there too not performing well. I think the one change we are going to make here at halftime is to take off Tom Gale, because he's on a 6.4 defensively. We've been pretty poor so far in this one, so Lucas Locke can come on for him, but I think that'll be the only change we make at this point. We'll just adjust some opposition instructions, and hopefully off the back of a bit of a telling off here at halftime, our guys can sort themselves out for the second half, and hopefully we might be able to pinch a point from this game. We'll get things back underway, 2-0 behind. And just shy of the hour mark, first highlight in the second half is again in favour of Holstein Kiel, thrown inside the final third. Pickler, who so far has got 2 assists, puts that one into the mixer, but thankfully Lorenzo can head that one away, but yet again straight into the path of a Holstein Kiel player. Takes a rather kind deflection, but thankfully doesn't make its way past Krapakas in goal. A chance for us here to actually do something on the counter-attack, but that's a pretty cynical foul there from Muller, and he does pick up a yellow card. But coming up to the hour mark, still 2-0 behind, and a few players out there are still struggling, especially up front. So because of that, we'll take off Clige for Sir Louis. Hopefully he makes the most of some game time. Hasn't got too much so far this season, with Clige being in such good form. Also we'll take off a Tilgan for Baker Boati, and also Malati can come on for Kachala on that yellow card. Still 2-0 down with a half hour left. And at the 64-minute mark, yet again it's a set piece here in favour of Holstein Kiel. It's a corner, so far in this game they've had most of the highlights in their favour. We don't deal with the danger, and Muller gets his head on the end of that one. Thankfully just goes over the bar, but we are still really struggling and 2-0 behind. And just making our way into the last 20 minutes of this game, just going to check on some player ratings and fitness in Krasnicki. Today on a 6.4 and a red heart, so with our last substitution, Michael Wusu will come on for him. And hopefully we can at least grab one goal back and give ourselves a chance late in this one. And also we might put some more players on some more positive roles to try and get the job done. And just making our way inside the last 15 minutes of this game, and yet again a chance here for Holstein Kiel to really put this game to bed up with a free kick. Krapakas does get his hand on the end of that one and just tees it up in time for him to reclaim that. And now right down the other end, this time it's a free kick in our favour. It will be a Wusu Cliche these days, usually on these, but he is off the field. Owusu tries to put that one top left corner. That goes over the bar, so free kicks to both teams don't find their way into the back of the net. And we do enter the last 10 minutes here. Still 2-0 behind now, a free kick here to Holstein Kiel. It does feel like time's running out for us if we are to try and get something from this game, which will be disappointing, because so far with the gegenpress, we have looked a lot better than we have off the back of the winter break. Surely Mies there was offside, but apparently that was not the case. Thankfully, we do somewhat deal with that danger, but Holstein Kiel yet again do win those 50-50 battles. Big chance there for Mies. Again was onside, but thankfully Krapakas comes up with a good save, and it remains 2-0. And shortly off the back of that recent flurry of highlights, we have gone attacking, and yet again there's a free kick here to Holstein Kiel. Thankfully, we head that one away, but yet again Mies is on the ball. Lorenz back in there for Mies. It's a tight angle, but thankfully his shot goes just high and wide, and we are still 2-0 down as we do enter the last 5 minutes of this one. Now it's a corner in our favour. Owusu puts that one into the middle of the box, and thankfully it will try and refund Owusu. Unfortunately won't, but Lorenzo is there to tidy things up. We really need a goal shortly in this game, and Salue will get us back in this one. Good header there into that bottom left corner, and hopefully with about 3 minutes plus injury time left in this one, we will be able to grab a goal that might give us a point from this game. With that in mind, we might actually do what our assistant manager recommends for the last couple of minutes of this game. It does look like Salui might be quite useful from those floated balls in and those early crosses, but unfortunately, not much doing so far, albeit late free kick. Marathi gets on the end of that one, puts it away top left corner. We grab an equaliser, but I don't know if it counted because for some reason the goal's been ruled out top left corner. No offside indication, so not too sure what's happened there. FM might be screwing us over just a little bit, but play will continue there with a free kick to Holstein Kiel, so I presume someone there was offside from that free kick, so it does unfortunately mean we are still 2-1 behind. It would have been nice if we got the offside lines and that call straight away, but play does continue, and Lock now, we look to build from the back off the back of that free kick, and now it's a foul which will be in our favour for some reason. It does look like we are taking quite a bit of time over this one, which is a bit interesting when we are over the referee's added time. Lock, if you could get on with it, that would be very nice indeed. He takes too long on it, and we are going to suffer a 2-1 defeat, and indeed Marathi was offside. Would have been nicer if that came up right off the back of that goal being scored before, but unfortunately, thought we grabbed an equaliser. That was not the case, and we do suffer our first defeat since we have gone to the gegenpress style. To be fair, didn't really play that well though, so can handle that one a bit better than some of those games that we were playing previously with the fluid counter-attack when we were outplaying teams but somehow were getting beaten. But unfortunately, that's going to make our task to try and make the top 3 even tougher. With only 7 games left in the season, we are still 8 points behind those teams inside the top 3, and that gap might extend by the end of this match day off the back of a 2-1 defeat to Holstein Kiel. So unfortunately, OBS has killed another little run that we did have going here at Lokomotive Leipzig. There is a bit of a habit developing of a run that we are on just getting killed when I do record one of these episodes, and unfortunately, with the other results on that match day, we fall all the way down to 6th on the table. Obviously, Holstein Kiel have jumped above us, and also Dynamo Dresden based on goal differential, and now 11 points behind Arminia Bielefeld and Hanover. It's fair to say we might be spending yet another season in the 2 Bundesliga, but hopefully we might find a way to keep that form prior to that most recent game going and can sneak our way a bit closer, maybe get a faint chance, but still it is a big ask trying to make up an 11-point gap with only 7 games left in our season. But that will do it for today's episode. For the Gegenpress might just get us going forward a little bit more. To be fair, our results up until that second game of today's episode were quite good, but that 2-1 loss to Holstein Kiel might be the result that does mean we cannot get promoted up to the Bundesliga this season. If you did enjoy today's episode, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying the series here on the channel, also consider hitting that subscribe button and turning that notification bell on as well. We'll come back for tomorrow's episode fairly shortly. I think I'll play Erzgebirge off camera, but Arminia Bielefeld, the only team that are in and around that promotion hunt, who we do have to play in our last couple of games of the season, so I think we'll come back for that one and hopefully beat them, give ourselves a chance of potentially closing the gap. You'd imagine we beat Erzgebirge in between now and then based on our form before that Holstein Kiel game, and then we'll take on St. Pauli. If we can beat Arminia Bielefeld, that could be a great chance for us to close the gap even more, albeit they have been our bogey team so far in the 2 Bundesliga, but are down in 17th, and that one is at home, so hopefully a good chance for us there to pick up a win, and by the end of that episode, we should know if we are still in with a chance of potentially overcoming that big points difference and getting back in a promotion hunt. But if we're going to do that, we need wins in our next couple of games, including the ones coming up in tomorrow's episode against Arminia Bielefeld and St. Pauli. So until tomorrow, for those two, thank you very much for watching. Keep on keeping on, and I'll see you then. Cheers.
Thought I could do this, life through the sadness. Don't know how I ended up so lost. Sink through the deep end, hurt and